I'm doing that. This is Killer Carl, and welcome to... Yowie wowie! This is me, Matt. I'm here with Killer Kyle. Welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury, and we talk about Payback.
Yes. I believe the last time there was Payback was like 10 years ago. And then the last one was like probably 7 or 8 years, or 6 or 7 years ago, maybe, somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a few years since there's been a Payback premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. And you know, it's interesting how it seems like, okay, it started initially like before Triple H took over, when he was still like, he's now the head of creative on like Raw and SmackDown. When he was head of creative for NXT, you know, brought back War Games, brought back Great American Bash, brought back In Your House, and now that he's, you could say, fully head of creative, now he's turned around and bringing back Payback. He's also, well, I don't know if Triple H is responsible for, probably, or he had a hand in bringing back No Mercy as well to NXT. And so, it seems like we'll see what happens as we go more into the future. What other potential, let's say, old pay-per-views we see come back. I mean, hell, it was 2 years ago they started doing Backlash again. So, I mean, things have just been progressively getting more and more, I don't want to say better, but they're progressively bringing back more and more, you could say, like, old school pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
From the Backlash to, you know, Great American Bash, to War Games, to In Your House, No Mercy, Payback. At this point, who the fuck knows what else it could bring back? I mean, the calendar year is always pretty stacked for WWE. It just seems like lately they've been experimenting with bringing back pay-per-views and seeing if it'll work. So I mean shit, they brought back War Games and NXT, and then just last year made a part of Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching a YouTuber, and they were saying that, you know, Survivor Series over the last little while Oh, I know what it was. It was hot takes. So on X, on Instagram, comment on a YouTube video, whatever, people would give their opinions on what they would think. And somebody had said that they felt like Money in the Bank felt like more of a Big Four pay-per-view than Survivor Series did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you look at Survivor Series over the last few years, I mean, it was pretty good, but, like, it just seemed to be, like, the interest wasn't there. And then they did the Survivor Series with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I think that was an effort to try and make, Survivor Series special again, you could say. But they only did that for 1 year. And then it was like, alright, let's introduce War Games into Survivor Series and see if that helps bring Survivor Series back to the prominence that it initially was years ago.
Right.
And I mean, every time we talk about, wrestling in general, or WWE at least, talk extensively about, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. Those are like the 4 biggest events of the whole calendar year. And it seems a shame to not be as excited for Survivor Series as you would, the other 3 or any other pay-per-view throughout the year. It just seemed to be that, I felt like a couple of years there, the build-up for Survivor Series wasn't that good. And then Survivor Series itself was just kind of meh. Especially when you had Raw dominate the whole fucking thing. It's like, dude, are you for fucking real? Survivor Series, to me, that made it so cool was throughout the whole night. It was, Raw would win a match, SmackDown would win a match, Raw would win a match, SmackDown would win a match, Raw would maybe win 2 matches back to back, then SmackDown would have to try and catch up. And it was always that, Raw would maybe go ahead and on the scoring, and then SmackDown would come back, or maybe SmackDown would go ahead, and Raw would have to come back. And then, by the, main event, it was always, either, Raw would be up on SmackDown, let's say, by 1, or they would be tied, and it was like, well, whoever wins this final match, whoever, whatever brand is, the number 1 brand. And when that 1 year of Raw sweeping the whole night, that was what, 2016?
I would say that maybe 2018.
18? Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And it's what was the...
Yeah, and that's the problem. And I had a conversation last night with a friend of mine, and I said, I'm one of those people that is all about production, or presentation, I guess.
Yeah.
And when you watch a pay-per-view, you want it to feel like a pay-per-view. And unfortunately, from 2018 to when was the Skull and Bones left WWE for a while, it's almost like it was lackluster.
Meh.
Watching Survivor Series, to me, or even, let's say, well, we could talk about WrestleMania 27.
Meh.
That was a shit show. Although I was like, well, yeah, you were just watching a 5-hour Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of those things too where I feel like we're getting better. I know that the last 3 SummerSlams have been in a stadium and it feels like a big deal.
Right.
Whereas watching All In on Saturday,
Yes.
they could have went without the tunnel, making the aisleway a lot longer. But then again, that's nitpicking.
I thought of this, and, well, I didn't think of it at the time, but kind of having seen little snippets of All In, having not initially thought of it at first, and then as the night went on, kind of really thinking about it, that tonal way kind of gave All In a New Japan feel, if you will.
Okay.
Because so you watch certain New Japan events, and they have that. It's not really a tunnel, but like bleachers, I think, that go up, and your entranceway is like right in that area of seats, and that's what it kind of felt like.
Right.
Now, I mean, it wasn't like, Forbidden Door, where, it was, AEW and New Japan. It was just AEW. It's just, I mean, could they have done without that tunneling? Yeah. I think it was just AEW's way of, like, doing something unique.
Yeah.
Different.
Well, for sure. And I think it's cool that you had a wrestling pay-per-view. Well, I mean, we could talk about Money in the Bank as well, being in the UK.
Right.
But to have this pay-per-view in the UK, I mean, let's have more shows. Because you have Cardiff, Wales last September, actually.
Yes.
And then you recently have Money in the Bank in London. And then you have All In London. So
right.
Having more pay-per-views in that kind of area. Like, I know they had NXT Blackpool and NXT Cardiff.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you even had NXT in Japan, so...
Yes.
Let's keep it going. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think that would give you better ratings.
I think so.
So...
And maybe that's why this year, WWE was like, hey, we're no longer in lockdown. We can travel again, we can tour and all this other stuff. Let's have some of our big events in different parts of the world. Money in the Bank in London. Backlash. Puerto Rico.
Well, yeah.
And just expand their horizons.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And I think that's what they've been lacking for even before the pandemic. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to, like, have WrestleManias and repeat them in cities that they've already been in.
Yeah.
I'm still wondering why the fuck they don't go back to Toronto.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with that in the future.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with AEW, they're doing a lot more. Who knows when the next pay-per-view, like, it's going to be in another state, or not a state, but like another country or wherever, and that would be pretty cool. But anyways, for now we have All Out, because we just had All In.
Yeah, exactly.
This time they're gonna be in Chicago. The Bears!
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good show, and yeah, let's get down to it. For this this match. It's one of the biggest feuds for the women's division. And we have Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. One-on-one, not with Zoe Stark. In a steel cage.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we had Trish come back a few years ago and have that match with Charlotte.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay, have that one more match, you know, scratch that itch, if you will, and then, you know, go back to, you know, running her yoga studio and, you know, whatever else she's been doing. And, you know, in her retirement, if you will. And then, you know, you have Trish return to help Lita and Becky with damage control, and then, you know, the whole thing where Lita got injured. Lita and Becky were the tag champions, and then, you know, Lita got injured. Trish filled in. They lost the tag titles. Trish turned on Becky, and it's led to where we are now. And it's like, who would have thought Trish would have still had one more run in her? But I mean, like, she's still just as good as she ever was. Yeah, she's older, but she's still fucking fantastic.
Well, and so that's the thing with yoga, I think. And I mean, look, Diamond Dallas Page can fucking still go if you wanted to.
Right.
It gives you that new youth, if you will, but you feel like you're rejuvenated and younger and have more energy. Besides the fact that, yeah, she was a model, she's gonna pick up a lot of stuff from those days, and
Yeah.
obviously she still wants to take care of her body.
Oh, yeah.
Watching her match with Becky in Saudi Arabia, it was like she was as vicious as ever, and I've never seen that side of her, really.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has. So, I mean, she lost, and that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? I think that as much as I'm a huge fan of the man, honestly, I was a fan of Trish first. Way back to, you know, the 2000s and seeing matches with her, fucking main eventing Monday Night Raw,
Right.
you know, and so for me it's an easy thank you, Trish.
With what's been going on lately in this rivalry, and Trish seems to have had Becky's number, you could say, especially with Zoe Stark out with Trish. And then, okay, just a couple days ago on Raw, you had a Falls Count Anywhere match between Becky and Zoe Stark. And it was your throwback Falls Count Anywhere match. And that's what has been missing from WWE throughout the last 15 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, the last really good Falls Count Anywhere match that I remember, anyways, for the women's division was actually Charlotte and Sasha.
I don't mean women's Falls Count Anywhere match. I mean Falls Count Anywhere match in general.
Okay.
Because it seemed to be the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation Falls Count Anywhere. Okay, yeah, you may have them, fight in the crowd, fight around the ring, fight on the stage. But more often than not, the match would end in the ring.
Oh. Okay.
This was like throwback to, the 90s and Falls Count Anywhere. Like, it was a legit Falls Count Anywhere. And that's what, to me, is a benefit of Triple H being head of creative. He can give the fans what the fans have been wanting for eons.
Right.
Essentially. And having, been a wrestler himself, he has an understanding of what the fans truly want. And, I had seen a video where it was talking about the PG era and how when they first went into the PG era, it was mainly catered towards kids, trying to sell Mattel action figures and rings and this and that and up and down and left and right and bang bang bada boom. Now it's still PG, but it's more family oriented PG, if you will, than just like specifically catering to kids. It caters to everybody.
And that's what I've been saying. You have to have something for everybody. You have to have something for the hardcore fans. You have to have something for the kids, especially if their parents are, strict or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to do that. You gotta cater to everybody in this case. And yes, there are certain wrestling companies that only cater to adults. There's certain ones that only cater to kids, And it all goes back to that interview with Sami Callihan, with the Chris Van Vliet interview, where he said if he had a wrestling company, he would have a luchador match, followed by a hardcore match, followed by a traditional match, followed by a take team, and so on and so forth. And I think we're starting to get that. And the first example of it was last Friday, a Terry Funk hardcore match. Now, whether that's, it could be a one-time thing. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be. But if you bring that back, that's wrestling. It's not ballet. Live a little.
Yeah. But anyways, you had Becky win that match.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, with Trish having won majority of the matches between her and Becky, and then Becky winning that match on Monday, it's like, okay, you have the steel cage match. Is that a sign of, okay, Becky took care of Zoe Stark, and now go into this steel cage match, finally get that monkey off her back of defeating Trish? Possibly.
I guess. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But it should be a good match. Once again, it's been a while since we've seen a steel cage match in WWE.
Yeah.
There's a really good one on NXT recently.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Now we go to this match. You want to two guys who are almost mirror images of each other, but yet total polar opposites. You got The Miz versus L.A. Knight.
Yeah! And, watching that promo that The Miz cut on Monday, and reminiscent of 2011, I think, when he imitated The Rock.
Yeah.
You come to realize how good Mike is on the stick and how he can impersonate somebody. Because he actually did a really good job with LA Knight. He didn't milk it for a long time, which I think was okay. Got the point across. I think that LA Knight is one of those guys that you'll watch his career in Impact, and he had a very good career. And then he was in the Indies before that. It was almost like, okay, what else can he do? So when he made the jump to NXT, shit was on fire, and I think it was very cool to see another guy from Impact go to NXT.
Yes.
And then, of course, going to SmackDown, and, because it's Vince, we gotta go, Max Dupree and whatever.
Yeah.
Luckily, that fucking failed.
Yeah.
So,
seems to be the only successful thing of that whole idea is Maxine. Maxine, of course, she's with fucking Alpha Academy right now, but...
yeah. But... and I am a fan of LA Knight. He is entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
He was always entertaining. I mean, he even broke himself up, I think it was last week, when he made a mistake and then the audience kind of mocked him for that or something. I don't know. So, it's going to be a good match. If LA Knight wins, it would prove that he's not a flash in the pan.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that there were rumors that he was going to win the U.S. title. It hasn't really happened yet. I don't even know when that will happen.
Yeah.
But if he wins, yeah, I think that would be awesome. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, The Miz is a good wrestler. And by the way, it's like, you can't say he sucks because look at the proof. 2-time Grand Slam champion. As much as he's annoying, he backs it up. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna say LA Knight.
Me too.
Yeah!
You!
We have the tag team titles. We've got the team of the New Quebecers, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who will take on Damian Priest and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day.
For the Undisputed WWE Tag Team titles in a Steel City Street Fight.
That's right, yes.
Of course, they're going to be in the Steel City, so why not a Steel City Street Fight? Wow, that was a lot to say.
I mean, and that's what Kyle talked about earlier. We're bringing back the more violent stipulations.
Yeah.
And we're doing, we'll see where that goes.
Right.
I mean, it's like no takes or anything. It's just gonna be mayhem.
More than likely.
I mean, we all know that every time they're in a city, there's always a street fight named after it, so...
Generally speaking.
But, look, I didn't think that Kevin was coming back.
Yeah.
I legit thought that the Tag Team Championship was going to be vacated. But they were in Montreal, and, Kevin comes back, and yeah, they're still the champs. So,
Yep.
I don't know when they're gonna reinvent the tag team titles like we've wanted forever, but
Yeah, who knows?
and honestly, and I hope it doesn't happen for a while, but it seems like the Judgment Day are cracking.
Yeah, and now you have that added wrinkle of JD McDonough in there.
Yeah.
And JD, being friends with Balor, how Balor is the one that fucking trained JD in the first place.
Yeah, yep.
So,
Both from County Wicklow, Ireland.
Bray County, Wicklow Island, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's an easy one again. I'm gonna go with Sammy and Kevin.
Yeah, I got Sammy and Kevin will retain because, it's. What do they think that? Oh yeah, you've put the tag titles on Finn and Damien, and that'll solve all the problems. No, it won't.
No.
Hell, let's say hypothetically, Balor and Priest win this match. They're still going to be fighting. They're still going to be disagreeing with each other.
Yeah.
They're still probably going to have, JD have some thing in there. And then they could lose the fucking tag titles whenever.
Right.
I think it'll either be the downfall of Judgment Day, or maybe it'll, be the process of mending the fence, so to speak, and getting rid of that fucking Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah. I am surprised they haven't pulled the trigger on that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, Seth is still the world champion, so we'll see where that goes in the future. But yeah, I think that Damien should really cash that in. But unfortunately, they haven't done that yet, and they should. I think that would be a cool thing to see what would happen if Damien held the title.
Yeah.
Because you can go places with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nothing to take away from Seth Rollins, but I think, after he faces Nakamura, I'm not even sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I had thought that Edge versus Seth, or number 4, whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
was going to show up and that match was going to happen. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, so yeah, you know what? I'm going to still pick Sam and Kevin.
Yeah, I am too. And because, okay, they put the Money in the Bank contract on Priest. It's like, okay, WWE is showing that confidence in him to, give him the briefcase, and maybe whenever he'll get the title. Cool. But it just seems to be that, over the last few months, anytime Balor was in a match, anytime there's a tag match, the briefcase would somehow get involved.
Yeah.
And more often than not, Balor's lights were getting put out by the briefcase. Whether it be Seth stomping Balor's head into the briefcase, or Balor getting hit in the head with the briefcase by Kevin Owens, or whatever the fuck. It's like, okay, this briefcase has become jinxed or something, I swear to God.
It's one of those things where the saying goes, it's funny once and then it goes stale like that. And I think that's what's going on. Like, they have a match, and then they get cheated, and then they win because of either the briefcase or Rhea Ripley gets involved.
Right.
So that's kind of like, alright, so what's the point of the Judgment Day?
Yeah.
Because it's bullshit to me. I don't like it. I think move on, because either they're running out of ideas, maybe they should break up. At the same time, I'm not even sure where JD McDonough falls in all of this.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that him and Finn are both from Ireland and they both, you know, he trained them and all of that. So, yeah, I mean, a Steel City street fight, that's gonna be awesome.
Yes.
So, I can't wait. Honestly, I think that it's something to see. It's gonna be a very good match. If the steel cage match is any indication, then this match will be even better.
Yeah, you can say that.
So. Speaking of the Judgment Day, we have the Raw Women's title, or, well, the Women's World title.
Right.
We have Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez.
See?
And a returning Raquel, I should say.
Yeah.
These two have had a falling out for a long time. And Raquel gets injured. And she wants Rhea. Rhea's been wreaking havoc as of late.
Right.
Which kind of pisses me off in a way, because it's like, what, you know, that's why your women's division sucks, is because there's really not too many in your roster.
Yeah.
So, with Raquel coming back, and yeah, she just came back, it seems. I honestly think that we're gonna see a new women's champion.
Me too. I mean, it was pretty much inevitable from the start. Yeah, the injury got in the way and, you know, get taken out by, I think it was damage control. So, but now that she's back, it's like, okay, I have a feeling they're gonna pull the trigger on this thing.
And they should. You know, do it for Liv. You know, like, they were tag team champions at one point.
Right.
And then that got squashed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do it for all the women that Rhea has taken out. Like, it's kind of stupid, in my opinion, just to have Rhea with the title. Like, it's kind of, you know, even Evolution got theirs in the end.
Yeah. To this match for the United States Championship, we got Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory.
Honestly, don't know why they have to do this.
Yeah.
LA Knight should have been the #1 contender, but no, we couldn't do that. Because we have to have same! With that being said, Rey Mysterio just won the title.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's retaining.
Yeah, they don't need to throw the title back on Austin. Not this soon.
No. Main event, the World Heavyweight title. We've got the champion of Seth Rollins versus the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura.
And I gotta say, I dig this heel version of Shinsuke. I'm interested in seeing where they go with the character and how they evolve the character. And just how, like, he's been, you know, sneak attacking Seth and talking about how Seth has this back injury and it's been bothering him for years. And he's gonna put Seth out of his misery and take the title off of him and, you know, doing all these vignettes in Japanese or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's really good. This is the heel version of Shinsuke Nakamura that I think everybody has been wanting. I mean, when we had that heel version of Shinsuke,
2018.
when they completely changed his music, it's like, okay, that was good, but this is better.
Yes.
That being said, I don't see Shinsuke winning the title.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, on one hand, I think Seth needs to take his revenge and shut Shinsuke up.
Yes.
At the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing Shinsuke Nakamura as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
I mean, it's long overdue. The guy has been a mid-card champion since he's got here. I mean, it's like, we're going to give him the NXT title, and then as soon as he shows up, I gave him the US title,
Yeah.
I gave him the Intercontinental title,
Right.
you know, and they could have pulled the trigger at 34! But they didn't do that. So, it's unfortunate too, because look, you know, if you're gonna have a feud with AJ Styles, a feud that you had back in Japan,
Yeah.
they could have went back and forth,
Yeah.
win the title at WrestleMania, and then lose the title at Backlash.
Yeah.
But because he's not American, we're gonna have him lose after he won the Royal Rumble. So,
Right.
fuck you, Vince. And I mean, look, if he doesn't win on Saturday, then I'm sure he'll hopefully get it.
Well, I'm sure he will.
Like, Shinsuke is a very good heel,
Yeah.
but I think that if he wins, then when does Seth get his redemption?
Yeah,
Here
exactly.
you are talking about he has a bad back, he won't be able to pick up his daughter, he has to get help out of bed by Becky. It's like, I want to fucking kick your ass too. So, you know what? I'm gonna say Seth Rollins retains.
Same.
So, you know, Payback should be a good show.
Yeah.
I think that I had thought that they were going to do like brand pay-per-views,
Right.
but there's a SmackDown match in this one,
Yeah.
so not sure why that is. I don't know what the deal with Roman Reigns is or why
Yeah.
the WWE title is not on the line.
Right.
So it's going to be a good show, and looking forward to the Steel City Street Fight,
Yes.
and obviously the Steel Cage match should be awesome.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yeah, the card looks like it's gonna be a really good card. I mean, you know, you've got 4 championships on this card, plus, you know, the Steel Cage match and the Steel City Street Fight. So it's like, you know, looking forward to it. And of course, you know, having the show in Philly, home of hardcore. So I mean,
yeah, this is going to be a good show. And we'll see what happens with No Mercy, which is another pay-per-view they brought back.
yeah,
That's NXT. That should be even better as well.
Yes,
so,
sir.
And then after that, I'm not quite sure.
yeah. Well, after that, we'll be into September, and so yeah, I'm not sure what'll be on the docket for September.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean Matt, this is Killer Kyle. Run!